Alright, what's up, nerdskis? Welcome to a new Chan. My name is Jason. I'm a 25-year-old gay man from Virginia. I almost said my town. That would have been a bad idea. I love to yap and share my opinions in my day-to-day life, so figured why not express my opinions on here for anybody else who might want to listen to them. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why I'm here. I just wanted to share why I, a gay man, would ever in a million years want to vote for Trump and the fallout that decision caused with a lot of my personal relationships. So to clarify, I now consider myself like an independent moderate, but I did used to just blindly vote blue in the name of progress every time in the past, up until like a few months ago. Again, just a quick side note, I'm not a political commentator professionally. I'm just, like I said, a dude with opinions, and I don't know. I just like to talk into the void sometimes, get some things off my chest, all right? Okay, just wanted to clarify. So I've always had like my issues with how a lot of the people in my community act and the entitlement that a lot of them feel, the current state of our entire community as a whole. But the main catalyst for me, like leaving the left, I guess you could say, was the Democratic Party's just insertion of Kamala Harris into the campaign. I hate how there was no process to elect her. We were just told, okay, you gotta vote for her. I thought it was super hypocritical for a party that screams so much about like fascism to just do something like that. There was no democratic process used to elect the Democratic nominee. What the fuck? Have you no critical thinking, man? Sorry, I was trying to impersonate Kamala Harris's Jamaican accent. I don't know what that was. As the election was stirring up, I was listening to people like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, even like Marianne Williamson I thought was a pretty solid candidate. And I wasn't even given my right as an American to vote for them. I was just told to roll over and vote for Kamala. And the thing about me, I hate authority. I hate being told what to do. And then, of course, throughout the coming months, as we're all familiar, she was just refusing to speak about what her policies were. She wasn't doing any interviews. It was just this overdrawn situation that I couldn't take anymore. Like, give us some substance, man. And I just kept getting so much more turned off to her. I was like, there's no way they expected me to vote for this person. But then simultaneously, I felt like so many people on the left were getting super excited about her. Why? And it was just simply because she was a minority, a person of color, and a woman. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, there's no way people are going to vote for her just because she's a black woman. And then I thought that in my head, and I was like, oh my God, if I say that out loud, people are going to fucking shoot me in the dome, man. People are going to Salem witch trial my ass if I say that out loud. She's like one of the least favorite politicians in American history. She has no politics coming out. And then all of a sudden people switch up so quickly and are like, oh my God, yes, Slay Queen, you're so bright. Where's the critical thinking skills, guys? Come on. And then while this was going on, like RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard had both come out about how the Democratic Party just completely snubbed their campaigns and gave them no fighting chance. And how Tulsi was put on a terrorist watch list. Huh? And then RFK Jr. is like banned from Instagram. I'm like, what the hell is there's some shit going on, okay? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. You know what I mean? And then while Kamala was finally going on like talk shows here and there and doing interviews and just giving the American people whatever accent she felt like doing that day or based on whoever she was speaking to, RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Trump. What? I was shocked, confused, bamboozled, if you will. Like, what the fuck is going on in here on this day? They found my flabbergast button, and boy, did they press it. All right, I don't know what that's from, but I've quoted that way too many times in my day-to-day life. Sorry. And one day, I just finally decided to like put my ego aside and just figure out why these Democratic politicians are not endorsing Trump. Something I'm very passionate about is just like the food industry in general in America. I'm pretty big into fitness. Like I hybrid train. I go on, long endurance runs. I weight lift, do all this stuff. I try to eat whole foods as much as I can. All because of this, I've hated what the food industry has become, just pumping carcinogens, additives, preservatives, chemicals in all of our foods, seed oils even. So, okay, you can probably see why I liked RFK Jr., you know what I mean? I think our food system has just become this huge like cesspool burying lobbyist dollars from these big food companies, and as a result, it's literally killing us. It's insane. And then Trump like announces his partnership with RFK Jr. to take on Big Pharma in the food industry and the whole like Make America Healthy Again initiative. But not only that, he called out all these companies and told us exactly what he was going to do to make our food better again. I was shocked. He was the only politician that had the balls to take on this corrupt industry. It's actually insane. So I was kind of stoked. I was fired up, and I was like, okay, honestly, this alone has the power to sway how I vote because of how passionate I am. I genuinely think like our food industry and big pharma are the biggest problems in our country right now because we're literally being poisoned. You know what I mean? The data supports that we're increasingly becoming unhealthier, and it's very obvious that the shit that's in our food is the cause, right? So I was fired up. I decided to listen to more of his like interviews, podcasts, whatever they were, and I found myself agreeing with Trump so much more than I thought I would. Oh, yikes. It was a huge blow to my ego. I literally would like listen to an interview, and then like when I was done with it, I would just like sit in silence for 5 minutes to reflect and just be like, damn, that's crazy. I agree with everything he said. But then after I watched the interviews, I would go on like the mainstream media, left-wing sources like CNN, MSNBC, whatever, and I'd see them take his words completely out of context or just straight up manipulate them just to push whatever narrative they wanted. And I was sitting there and I was like, that's not what I heard. What is going on here? It's just painfully obvious at this point to me how much the media hates Trump and wants to just push this fascist narrative. Like, random example, but my favorite one was his comments about Liz Cheney. He was calling out war politicians who are so eager to send our troops overseas to die in unnecessary wars while they sit in their cozy Washington, D.C. offices with AC. He was calling them out and saying, I wonder how they would feel if the guns were in their faces. I wonder how they would feel if they were on the front lines fighting those wars. They'd obviously feel differently about war. And I was like, damn, oh shit, somebody's calling it out. Someone finally said it. And then the media was like, he called for the public execution of Liz Cheney. He's scary. He's a scary man. I was like, oh my God, dude. The thing is, that was one of those things where it's like, if that came out of Kamala Harris's mouth, people would be stoked about it. You know what I mean? People just loved that message, but hated the vehicle it arrived in. You know what I mean? All this basically led me to believe that Trump is just like not the bad person I thought he was. But the media just completely demonized him because he was basically challenging the establishment. He wasn't afraid to take that on and challenge them. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. Not at all. I personally just don't like how unprofessional he is a lot of the time. I know that's a big appeal for a lot of people because he calls it like it is. I think you can do that in a more professional manner, but that's a very like minuscule problem to have with somebody, right? I felt like the causes he was fighting for were more important than how I viewed him as a person. Like I said, he was nowhere near the bad guy I thought he was. Now, all while this is going on, I start opening myself up to a few more like right-wing commentators. People like Brett Cooper, Amala Ekpanobi, I might be butchering that, sorry. Blair White was another one I really, really liked. And when I was watching their content, I would see so many people in the comments in the exact same boat that I was in, and just how welcoming everybody was to them. It was a complete contrast with my experience on the left. If you agreed with everything that everyone said on the left, but you stepped out of line on one issue, game over. You're cooked. You're done. You're gonna get absolutely flamed, which has happened to me plenty of times before. No matter how educated or tolerant you become, you will always be minimized to the physical attributes of your identity. No matter how much of like an ally I became, my opinions were always completely void just because I was a white gay man. I would often get criticized for even just regurgitating the same talking points other people did just because of the color of my skin. And this was a problem I had with the left for a little while now at this point that I was getting kind of frustrated with, but I was way too scared to like say anything about. Like, I was just over identity politics. Like, I'm tired of being told I'm inherently bad and completely irredeemable because of the color of my skin. But at the same time, don't forget to speak up about how you and other white people are shitty people. Even though the words you use will never be good enough for us, and we're gonna criticize you anyway. Oh my God. It's exhausting. It's so exhausting. I was tired of the constant victim mentality. That because of X, Y, and Z, you can't accomplish ZYX in this life. Huh? Like, what a just terrible, miserable outlook on life. I don't care that I'm gay. I can accomplish anything a straight person can accomplish. The fuck? Being gay doesn't prohibit me from that. It's just this exhausting cycle where I was losing every single time. It's such a hateful cycle too. And it's like being in my mid-20s now, I have real problems. Life has hit me like a fucking truck. Dude, identity politics don't matter to me anymore because I have real problems to deal with. And that's why I liked a lot of these like right-wing content creators like Brett Cooper, Amala Ekpanobi, Blair White, whoever it was, because they called all this out. It was often the tolerant left that was reducing people down to their physical characteristics that they couldn't change about themselves, and making those physical attributes the most pivotal parts of their identity. And all at the same time, like, I'm getting increasingly frustrated with this idea that just because I'm gay, I have to promise my vote to a certain political party. All that does is imply that I'm only allowed and able to care about LGBT issues, right? It implies that LGBT people are incapable of forming opinions on foreign policy, economics, immigration, whatever it may be. And it also implies that I have to agree with how the Democratic Party is handling LGBT issues, because newsflash, they've been doing a really bad job about it. Like, literally, what have Biden and Harris done positively for the LGBT community? Genuinely. In my opinion, all they've done is just create spaces for cross-dressers and weirdos and malicious people to insert themselves in our communities and in our spaces and in women's spaces and be weird and be creepy. And that hurt our community, especially real trans people. It's made us look like absolute clowns to the normal average Joe. And it's like, also, if a political party knows that an entire demographic of people are going to vote for them no matter what, it just creates an environment for them to give us any candidate they want, and we just have to deal with it. And they know we will roll over and vote for them anyway, which is what happened this election. It's so patronizing and dehumanizing to just assume that we're dumb enough to roll over and vote for whoever you want us to vote for because orange man bad, you know? I also learned that, like, listening to Trump and all these right-wing creators, that a lot of the fear-mongering about LGBT issues was completely false. Under Trump, we're still going to be able to get housing, get married, get jobs, whatever it may be. I saw Trump genuinely celebrating gay couples who got married at his estates, taking photos with them and all that stuff. Like, nobody's gonna line us up against a wall and execute us by firing squad. We are fine, okay? We're gonna be fine. And once again, Jason finds himself in a situation where he's infuriated because he's been lied to and manipulated by the media for so long. And all throughout this time, I started getting a little bit more vocal about my support for Trump's campaign on social media, and people were not happy, let me tell you. Holy shit. I surrounded myself. I've always been a pretty far left leaning progressive person, and I still am. I still hold a lot of those values close to me. And I surrounded myself with plenty of people who leaned to the left a little bit more and leaned a little bit more Democratic, and they left in droves, bitch. I lost hundreds of followers on Instagram, received a bunch of nasty DMs from all kinds of people. I even lost a few close childhood friends, which is pretty fucked up in my opinion. And the crazy thing is, like, I did have Republican friends, you know, more right-leaning friends before this transformation, and I never lost a single one of them when I spewed all my progressive beliefs on my, like, social medias. It's a bummer. It's a sad thing to go through. One of my favorite things to come out from this election was Bernie Sanders' statement. I think it just shows how many people are fed up with the Democrats' bullshit and the entitlement they feel to so many people's votes. Because he's right, they completely abandoned working class Americans. And they're looking around shocked, like, oh my god, why didn't they vote for us? At first, it was the white working class. Now, this election, it's the black and Latino working class too. Like, who's next? Like, who's next to be completely discarded by the people who are meant to represent them? It's not enough to run on orange man bad. At least I'm not Trump. Like, because the bad orange man is doing more beneficial things than you fucking raisins. You know what I mean? Democrats fucked around and found out. That's all I'm saying. Like, they need to go all the way back to the drawing board before this next election, or else the same thing's just gonna happen. But like I said, it comes as no surprise that I lost a lot of friends through posting my support for Trump. And like I said, some of those friendships, losing them definitely hurts. But at the end of the day, like, it is what it is, dude. You know, what am I going to do about it now? One positive is I got a lot of support from people I never expected to get support from on both sides. I really do think that, like, once the hysteria wears off, like, everyone's going to be fine again, you know what I mean? But if, like, our friendship isn't strong enough to survive differing political beliefs, whatever, that's fine. I fucking sprayed the raid, psst, and you roaches scattered, you know? It is a little bit pathetic in my opinion, although I probably still agree with my left-leaning friends on a lot of issues, that of which Trump is solving, believe it or not. I've just been completely discarded by them. Were we only friends because I was just parroting the same things you said? We weren't friends because you liked my energy, my sense of humor, the way I made you feel when you were around me, you know, my hobbies, the interests that we shared. It was all because I just regurgitated the same ideas that you deemed as acceptable. The thing is, this election, I don't think any of my opinions have really changed except on maybe like one or two issues. It's sad that for a lot of people, that's a completely valid excuse to terminate a very long friendship. Now, all that being said, I got a ton of support from right-wing people on my socials, welcoming me in, and even having genuine conversations with me, because like I said, I still express a lot of progressive left-leaning ideas, and they want to hear me out and they want to discuss these issues with me. It's crazy. It's a completely different like way of life. It's so much more accepting. I'm genuinely stoked to see where the next 4 years go, because I know beyond the veil of like the lying mainstream media that Trump actually has a lot of really good ideas. So this was just a brief video on like why I left the left and voted for Trump as a gay man, as a gay leftist. Now, there's a lot of nuance to these topics. I recognize that. It's hard to get into it all in just one video. If anyone wants me to dive deeper into any of them, I'm more than happy to. I'd actually be stoked to. Like I said, I love to yap. I love to hear myself talk. I don't know where this channel is gonna go. Honestly, I want to speak on a lot of LGBT related issues, while also like dabbling in others here and there. But yeah, we'll just see where it goes. Let me know if you had a similar experience as mine this election. I'd love to hear about it. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me yap for however long this video was, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Later, skaters.